They think they got one up on us. Don't trust that all my dogs, there's some I can trust. They think they got one up on us. That's what they think. Got PTSD nearly done up a finger, they ran up on us. The fake do a good job blending in with the road these days, but I still tell the difference. Realness get recognition, I recognize that from a distance, see it from far. Bare AMPR told bro, big you don't smoke car. It feels good to see me in the charts. I used to hit shots, sell rock and Linkin Parks. You been warned, I'll ring the alarm. They talk by the trap, they ain't been in it once. YG got the trench coat on, it's black and long like a Christian nun. Tryna locate me a new plate, I don't put trust in vintage guns. Stop whinging and go get some money, what's wrong with these self-inflicted bums? For my livelihood, push white in my hood, but I don't recommend it, there's no longevity. Central, don't forget me, money don't make me lose my memory. A2 anti, do man badly, do that gladly. I treat every day like a Monday morning, I treat every month like a January. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That all my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD, nearly done up a finger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from babies straight to men. Get some money, relive your childhood. Shorty, think that I'm childish. Tryna pull out my rip my nut on my Calvins. Out of sight, out of mind. We ain't gotta jump out this ride. Unwind the window, keep it simple. Try hit man off his mountain bike. Link up with a farmer, cutting down plants, no agriculture. Leave it to God, we don't practice obia. Planning correct, we gon' catch him. I can't go broke, that's a no-no. Can't fall off, that's awkward. My chain cost 60,000, cool, that's a club performance. I don't like bragging, I'm a low life, but I like high fashion. A Miri denim, it cost the arm and a leg and a jean, still sagging. Bro still trapping, I need more balance. Baby, I just wanna I'm sorry, I don't wanna meet your parents. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That all my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD, nearly done up a finger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from babies straight to men. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That all my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD, nearly done up a finger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from babies straight to men. They think they got one up on us. Don't trust. That all my dogs, there's some I can trust. They think they got one up on us. That's what they think. Got PTSD, nearly done up a finger, they ran up on us. The fake do a good job blending in with the road these days, but I still tell the difference. Realness get recognition, I recognize that from a distance, see it from far. Bare AMPR told bro, big you don't smoke car. It feels good to see me in the charts. I used to hit shots, sell rock and Linkin Parks. You been warned, I'll ring the alarm. They talk by the trap, they ain't been in it once. YG got the trench coat on, it's black and long like a Christian nun. Tryna locate me a new plate, I don't put trust in vintage guns. Stop whinging and go get some money, what's wrong with these self-inflicted bums? For my livelihood, push white in my hood, but I don't recommend it, there's no longevity. Central, don't forget me, money don't make me lose my memory. A2 anti, do man badly, do that gladly. I treat every day like a Monday morning, I treat every month like a January. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That all my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD, nearly done up a finger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from babies straight to men. Get some money, relive your childhood. Shorty, think that I'm childish. Tryna pull out my rip my nut on my Calvins. Out of sight, out of mind. We ain't gotta jump out this ride. Unwind the window, keep it simple. Try hit man off his mountain bike. Link up with a farmer, cutting down plants, no agriculture. Leave it to God, we don't practice obia. Planning correct, we gon' catch him. I can't go broke, that's a no-no. Can't fall off, that's awkward. My chain cost 60,000, cool, that's a club performance. I don't like bragging, I'm a low life, but I like high fashion. A Miri denim, it cost the arm and a leg and a jean, still sagging. Bro still trapping, I need more balance. Baby, I just wanna I'm sorry, I don't wanna meet your parents. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That all my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD, nearly done up a finger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from babies straight to men. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That all my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD, nearly done up a finger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from babies straight to men. They think they got one up on us. Don't trust. Is that all my dogs? There's some I can trust. They think they got one up on us. That's what they think. Got PTSD nearly done up a banger, they ran up on us. The fake do a good job blending in with the road these days, but I still tell the difference. Realness get recognition, I recognize that from a distance, see it from far. Bare AMPR told bro, big, you don't smoke car. It feels good to see me in the charts. I used to hit shots, sell rock and Linkin Parks. You been warned, I'll ring the alarm. They talk by the trap, they ain't been in it once. YG got the trench coat on, it's black and long like a Christian nun. Tryna locate me a new plate, I don't put trust in vintage guns. Stop whinging and go get some money, what's wrong with these self-inflicted bums? For my livelihood, push white in my hood, but I don't recommend it, there's no longevity. Central, don't forget me, money don't make me lose my memory. A2 anti, do man badly, do that gladly. I treat every day like a Monday morning, I treat every month like a January. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That on my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD nearly done up a banger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from baby straight to men. Get some money, relive your childhood. Shorty, think that I'm childish. Tryna pull down my rip my nut on my Calvins. Out of sight, out of mind. We ain't gotta jump out this ride. Unwind the window, keep it simple. Try hit man off his mountain bike. Link up with a farmer, cutting down plants, no agriculture. Leave it to God, we don't practice obia. Planning correct, we gon' catch him. I can't go broke, that's a no-no. Can't fall off, that's awkward. My chain cost 60,000, cool, that's a club performance. I don't like bragging, I'm a low life, but I like high fashion. A Miri denim, it cost the arm and a leg and a jean, still sagging. Bro still trapping, I need more balance. Baby, I just wanna I'm sorry, I don't wanna meet your parents. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That on my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD nearly done up a banger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from baby straight to men. They think they got one up on us. DTP, I don't trust. That on my dogs, there's some I can trust. Won't even lie, I got PTSD nearly done up a banger, they ran up on us. I left home when I was 14, YJ was 10 and a man in the house. We go from baby straight to men. They think they got one up on us. Don't trust. That on my dogs, there's some I can trust. They think they got one up on us. That's what they think. Got PTSD nearly done up a banger, they ran up on us. The fake do a good job blending in with the road these days, but I still tell the difference. Realness get recognition, I recognize that from a distance, see it from far. Bare AMPR told bro, big, you don't smoke car. It feels good to see me in the charts. I used to hit shots, sell rock and Linkin Parks. You been warned, I'll ring the alarm. They talk by the trap, they ain't been in it once. YG got the trench coat on.
Hello everyone, my name's Dean, let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is March 30th, 2023. And I believe, given the price action that we've experienced in the past few hours, that the next major target for Bitcoin is 40K and not 30K. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by how the $30,000 level is not necessarily respected as they think it should be. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about mainly today. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. What's happened lately in the DXY, in some of our favorite altcoins, and let me just say apologies for moving the time back. You know, I just had to manage some positions given the volatility. You know, I trade dynamically, right? So if a position is if something's changed, then I have to react, and that time is going to take away from the time I work out and eat brunch and do whatever else. So we're starting a little later than expected, but we're all good. We're going to get this information out. Guys, if you're getting value from this stream throughout the time you're listening, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All right, let's start off with Bitcoin on this small time frame, because this is very interesting. So yesterday we were talking about how this was very likely a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 situation, okay? And how did we come to that determination? We simply used our skills in Elliott wave analysis and counted the waves, right? And we used the different proportions of, you know, if this is wave 1 and this is wave 2, then, you know, we extended this wave 1 retracement of wave 2 to the 1618 to the 2 Fibonacci extension, and that confirmed that this is likely a wave 3, and then this kind of wave 4 is hanging out right where it should be, between the 236 and the 382 retracement of this wave 3, so on and so forth. In any case, we built a very strong case yesterday for why this should be wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and then we should get a wave 5. And I remember saying yesterday and during the live stream, typically when you get wave 5 in a regular, 53535 Elliott wave extension, your wave 5 is calculated by taking wave 3. This is one of the ways to calculate it. Take wave 3, extend that, take the retracement, maximal retracement on wave 4, and then target that phi ratio, and you should get the target of wave 5. And this is exactly what we got last night, okay? So when I saw that, I'm like, oh shit, 30K is not it, okay? Remember, I was saying yesterday, 30K is likely. Why? Because if this is wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and this is going to break out and sustain, then we're going to get an extended wave 5, and wave 5 is more likely than not going to be the height of this channel, right? Whatever. So that was my thesis yesterday, but it's changed ever since this move right here, right? This swing failure pattern where we hit it and then we came right back down. Okay, I need you guys to understand something. As complex, as kind of confusing as price action can be, sometimes it's really straightforward. This is really straightforward, okay? This swing failure pattern is what you typically get in an ABC retracement, okay? 5 waves up, 3 waves down. How simple is that, right? So we had 5 waves up, and the first wave, the A wave, targets wave 4 of the previous trend. Okay, that's when I knew for a fact, okay, this is not going to be an extended wave 5. What we're looking at here is some sort of Elliott wave impulse that's going to correct here, okay, right where we stand. So this is going to be A, we came up for B, and now C. Waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. Now some consolidation reversal, and then sayonara, okay? Now, if you take your Fibonacci retracement of these 5 waves, what do you see? 1, 2, 3, right in the golden pocket, right? Right where you expect. 2 things are expected. Firstly, a typical wave 1, wave 2, and I'm not saying this is wave 1, and I'll tell you why in a second, but typically in a wave 1, wave 2 situation, wave 2 is a zigzag. Okay, we know that. And this is exactly what you got here. A, B, C. 5, 3, 5. Zigzag. Okay, so all of that stuff we know. And the zigzag typically retraces to between the 0.5 and the 618 of the prevailing 5-wave sequence. So of all, like, there's so many unknowns, right? Why do I trade dynamically? Why don't I just set a trade, set my stops, set my take profits, go to sleep, not look at my trades? Why do I manage my trades actively? It's because there's too many different combinations, permutations of things that can happen. There's too many, and there's a lot of unknowns. But once you get the information and you figure, okay, it's highly probable that this is going to happen given this, that, and the third, then you can react. It's a read and react. Okay, so here it's very likely that we have 5 waves up, 3 waves down. Some people are going to be bearish beyond this. I feel sorry for them because it's very clear that whatever happens here is going to be accumulative and for a move up. And it begs the question, given that we've done this, is this more bullish or more bearish than going from here, right? Going from this wave 4 and then printing an extended wave 5. It's more bullish. And I'm gonna prove this. Well, I'm not gonna prove it, but I'm going to make a case, a good case for why this is more bullish. Okay, going on the hourly time frame. Just for some context, a little bit of context. Understand that we've been in this for about 10 days. Okay, 10 days worth of kind of accumulation, reaccumulation, whatever you want to call it, consolidation. Okay, we come up and we finally break the top resistance. Maybe we can do that better. Top resistance, and we don't retest it as support. We break down below it. Okay. You could say, oh man, but Dean, that is the definition of bearishness because you did not retest previous resistance as support. And I could say, yeah, I guess. But in the context of things, what you're doing, understand what you're doing here, is if this is indeed a pure 5-wave sequence, and this is, it's adjoining 3-wave correction, you're now looking for a wave 3 and then a wave 5. Okay, you're looking for a lot more, and it differs from our yesterday's thesis where we would go all the way to 30K and then do this, retrace on that level because we're retesting previous resistance as support. Do you understand? So you basically, having done this right here, you're giving, price is giving itself more runway and a reason not to come back to these levels. So basically, once we leave 28K for good, we don't have to come back. That's why this is more bullish. Okay, why is that? Well, functionally or practically speaking, these 10 days of resistance are not so clean. Okay, you can see there's a little bit of wicking here, a bit of wicking here, obviously some wicking here. It's not a clean level, okay? It's not a clean level where you could say, well, this was such a clean and clear level of resistance, you're going to have to retest it as support. What's going to likely happen is you're going to come up above here, retest it as support there, and call it a day, then move on, okay? So this is what it's telling me just based off of this price action. The next bit is this. Now, let's look and see, is this pure impulse? Is this a pure 5 waves up, 3 waves down situation? Or is this a zigzag, okay? How do we determine that? Go back on the smaller time frames. Let's look and see how this range, or sorry, let's look and see how this this wave, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I think it's like this, yeah? Yeah, that's right. It starts here and it ends right there, okay? Let's look at time. So 1 day, 9 hours, okay? 1 day, 9 hours up. We should expect the retracement to be similar, okay? So far, we have 15 hours and 30 minutes. If we were to move right now and just break up, what do we know? That because there's a significant discrepancy in the time it's taken for the 5 waves up and the 3 waves down that we could characterize this sequence of, price moving up and down as corrective. And there's a likelihood that that's the case. Okay? There's a likelihood that that's the case. Why? And that's even more bullish, actually, than considering this as wave 1 and then this is wave 2. Why? Because look at this. So, remember we were down here basing? How could you read this? Okay? One way to read this is in the following manner. You have an initial break of structure, a counter correction. So that's a big A wave, that's a big B wave. You have an initial break of structure and a counter correction. That's a small a, small b. There's 2 degrees of AB basing. Now you have 5 waves up and 3 waves down, which is your pivot. This is the pivot. It's a possibility, okay? And that's assuming that you have everything here, okay? Everything here sort of, what's the word I want to use? Earmarked, or you basically have this accounted for. You know what this is. This is that. This is all one contiguous correction. I think that's a likely read. You have your double 3 WXY here, okay? And then you have your consolidation reversal channel, consolidation reversal pattern that starts here, and this is the final move. And I like that because I've seen that in the alts. And what do we say about altcoins? They're not just, obviously they're great to trade and great to invest in because they're that much more volatile, and you can gain so much more trading altcoins if you know what you're doing. But they're also telling me that they serve as a great indicator. And if you look at some altcoins, I'm just going to show you one, just to make this point. Let's look at, what's one that I was looking at? Maybe this one, yeah. This is still in correction. Okay, no pure impulse has been printed. Okay, and so the idea that, oh no, everything's in pure impulse is not necessarily true. Okay, although you made a higher high and higher low, right? You came here correctively and you came down counter-correctively, right? For what looks like is likely your last pivot. This is a pivot. This is very clearly a pivot. Why do we know it's very clearly a pivot? Because it's damn sure not impulsive, and it hasn't respected the 0618. You take your Fibonacci retracement level if you can't eyeball it, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. That this Moon River MOVR came up in 3 waves, and it came down in 3 waves right to where we expect a flat correction to retrace to minimally, which is the 786. Okay, you can see that throughout the altcoin market. Okay, what's cool is that you didn't make lower lows. So even if you did get in a trade here, if you were careful, either you got stopped out into profit or you're still in it. Okay, you didn't make lower lows for a lot of altcoins. I don't know any altcoins that made lower lows necessarily, but what's interesting is that this is basically still in correction. You went up, but you weren't in pure impulse. So the best is yet to come. And when you read Bitcoin and you think of what you just saw, let's go back to Bitcoin. What you just saw is more likely than not a pivot, a zigzag. 5 waves up, 3 waves down, but not in pure impulse, right? And we know because the time tells us that that wasn't pure impulse, if indeed we move now. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. Now, the most compelling case for 40K over 30K is what? You have to zoom out to see this. Let's go on the 4-hourly time frame. Guys, if you're getting value, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay. Remember, as much as we love playing around with Elliott waves and different wave counts and all that stuff, I know Ellioticians geek out on that stuff, and sometimes we just, it's kind of like fun, and we forget that we're doing it for a stated purpose, which is trading and making money. So we have to be practical, all right? So everything, impractical aside, understand that the most effective way to read markets is to look from high time frame to low time frame, to gain some context on a higher time frame, and then use that to inform your lower time frame reads. So if we zoom out just a little bit on Bitcoin, there are two very, very, very compelling things that we have to keep in mind. And this is really important, and this is when I knew I was getting much better as a trader and as a chartist. When I would remember to zoom out, don't forget the context of what you're reading, right? So many times you're on your 5-minute time frame, your 15-minute time frame, because that's where you took your entry, that's where you made your entry, that's where you're looking at the most recent price action. All that stuff is great. But then you forget, and you're like, oh shit, this is a downtrend. Oh shit, this is an uptrend. Oh shit, this is a consolidation on a higher time frame. You forget. You just get lost, engrossed in the price action because you're like looking at it for hours and hours and hours on end. But on the high time frame, what do we have? Very simply, 5 waves up, 3 waves down. If you do not understand that this is pure impulse, I welcome you to take your time measurements of these 5 waves. You'll see it's about the same exact number of days and hours as the 3 waves down. Okay, so this is very likely a wave 1, wave 2 situation, just like we built it on the small time frame in the beginning of the stream, or yesterday, right? In that impulse. Okay, so that's a wave 1, wave 2 situation. Okay, what do we know about wave 1, wave 2? How do you project wave 3? Very simply, you take your Fibonacci extension tool from the bottom of wave 1. Let's try and get the magnet to hit right there. That's exactly where we want it. Bottom of wave 1, I believe that's the bottom, yep. To the orthodox high, right here at the end of this ending diagonal, I believe is right here. And retracement of this wave 2. And we know that more likely than not, wave 3, if it's not extended, if it's not truncated, it will come to between the 1618 and the 2 Fibonacci extension. So let's just keep that there. Okay. Next, what else do we see on the high time frame? We see quite clearly in bold blue an inverse head and shoulders. And it's not just an inverse head and shoulders. It's a confirmed inverse head and shoulders that's broken out and been retested. Okay. The retest, I don't know if you can see, but it's over here. Okay. So, you can say, okay, we can make the case that the neckline is down here, okay? We can do that because we want to respect the retest, and we understand that the retest is what makes this a confirmed inverse head and shoulders. The inverse head and shoulders is a bullish reversal pattern, and it's confirmed upon breaking the pattern and retesting it. Okay, and that retest is crucial. So let's move that neckline down here, okay? And given that it's confluent with the edge of our blue pattern, we can just get rid of it. Okay, so given this pattern, we see that it's very likely the fact that we have a bullish reversal pattern, and in that case, we can very clearly and practically and simply take the height of the head, okay, all the way to the top, which is here. Okay, the height of the head is like there. Okay, and then we can extrapolate or superimpose that from the site of breakout, which is the neckline, okay? And what do we get? Okay, a little more conservative, but still exactly where we expect it to be. Okay, it's in this region. The target is in the region. So we have two different modes of analysis that give us targets in the same region. That's what we call confluence. Okay? Both Elliott wave analysis is telling us that this is wave 1, wave 2, and wave 3 should come up here. And pattern analysis is telling us that this inverse head and shoulders should yield a target in this region, right? Given our pattern analysis. So I would say in the aggregate, I'm looking for a target for Bitcoin before the next significant retracement. I'm looking at a target for Bitcoin at or around $40,000. $30,000 does not factor into any target. None. Okay? And here's the last bit of information or last bit of evidence that I believe supports this trading thesis. So remember, we talked about this order block, right? And this order block is clearly between 28 and 32,000. And obviously, once we hit it, we started consolidating at resistance, which is not bearish at all. It's simply what you do. Once you meet resistance and you're bullish, you consolidate at resistance and you end up breaking it, retesting it, and moving on. Okay? So we have that. And once you break it, look at the... I said yesterday, we're probably going to find some resistance at the top of it. But actually, if you look more carefully at the top of this pattern, of this order block, which is essentially the only kind of resistance that you're seeing at this level, right? This order block, this 32-day order block. You do not have a clean line of resistance here, okay? As you can see, there's no clean line of resistance here. There is none. So it's very likely that once we break into 28K, 30K, that we just keep on going, okay? Price action is not showing us that once we break 28K, which is more of a clean line of support resistance, that we're going to have some difficulty getting above that. Okay, so that's the thesis. Those are the reasons. That's the reasoning, and this is why I'm looking for higher. A lot of people are going to take profit a little too early. You may get some mini consolidation a little bit, but don't be surprised if the price of Bitcoin comes to 30K, goes sideways for a few hours, and then just keeps going and doesn't stop until it gets to this area right here between 37,000 and 43,000. Okay, so that's my trading plan. This is why I am long on Bitcoin to that region before anticipating any resistance. Guys, if you're getting value, please like, share, and subscribe. Akanksha says, hello, Akanksha, what's up? So Akanksha says, BTC is taking a lot more time to break 30K than I anticipated. Yeah, the 28K level definitely took a little longer than anticipated. I know, we're in crypto, so everything is like in a hyperbolic time frame, but it's been 10 days, which, yeah, it's longer than I thought, because 10 days to break a 32-day order block, I don't know. Okay, so Akanksha says, people are projecting 270K by June with this speed. Don't know how it's possible. I mean, it's, I think about that sometimes. And I think it's important to remember, you do not want to fall into the trap. Let's go to our big chart. You do not want to fall into the trap of thinking linearly. You don't want to fall into the trap of thinking linearly. This is what amateur sort of market participants do, right? Amateur market participants, amateur traders, they think linearly. They think, and we all do. I guess we do it throughout life, right? If X happens, then as a result of X, Y happens, then next time X happens, you expect Y, right? It's just linear thinking. If this, then that, right? And, in a short period of time, that may be true. But if you extrapolate said event and reaction or cause and effect over a longer period of time, you may not have such a direct correlation. Like, if this, then that. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's like people are so myopic. Like, we live our lives, we remember what happened yesterday and what happened 2 days ago. If it's not traumatic, we're pretty much very focused on brief periods of time. We do certain things all the time. Let's say we have bad luck and, we had a great month last month, but this month is difficult. We're like, oh, I'm so down on myself. You almost forget last month was great. Do you see what I mean? All I'm saying is this. People have short memories, and they fall into the habit of thinking just because the past 300 days, let's say, I'm not going to even measure it, the past 300 days have been bearish and sideways and slow, and ever since January 1st, we've come up, but not very quickly. They expect the rate of increase in price to be at the same rate. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's not a good calculation, because you have to understand any growth or even any any impulsive downtrend, any trending price action is parabolic, especially in crypto, in low market cap volatile assets. So it's hard to wrap your mind around parabolic logarithmic growth. What in your mind, what in your life mirrors that? Nothing, right? Like, you don't grow like differently. Like, it's not like the sun or the earth revolves around the sun at a faster pace, that significantly faster, that you age 1 year and then your next birthday takes a lot less time. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's nothing in your life that is like the growth of a parabolic asset. So it's hard for anybody to identify with how that makes sense. It just doesn't make sense. There's nothing. Not how your cat or dog age, not anything. Unless you're a rocket scientist and you deal with, slingshotting a rocket around, the atmosphere of a planet, you don't really have daily experience with parabolic growth. This is where everybody's going, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are going to get mixed up. The other thing is, if you look at this high time frame chart of Bitcoin, what do you see? We have not at all been above resistance since November of 2021, right? We basically started going down in November of 2021, and since then have been continually under resistance. So you should expect the price to have been sideways and slow and, kind of tedious. Everything changes in character once you get above this resistance. That makes sense, right? It's kind of like, think about it. Don't think about it on a daily time frame. Forget the fact that this is a daily time frame. Think about it on a 5-minute time frame or a 15-minute time frame. If you're in a trade and you're looking at a cup in hand or inverse head and shoulders, you see a clear line of resistance, you're going to wait for the breakout, retest, and then you're expecting the price to fly, but not beforehand. Same thing. Once it starts flying, trust me, it's going to fly. This is why this is an opportunity. I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, but we should have been using this opportunity to just accumulate as much as possible, because once it starts flying, it's going to fly. And as I've said before, exchanges will go down. You will not be able to buy any more crypto. You will even not be able to move your crypto from wallet to wallet in exchanges. You won't have any liquidity, right? It's all over the news. So the idea of reaching 6 figures or reaching 7 figures in Bitcoin in a few months breaks people's brains, because everything is linear. Everything in your life is linear, and you expect everything linearly. But understand, if you work enough with these charts, you know the power of parabolic growth. And that's why we ride trends. I know it's hard. I understand it's hard. It's hard for me even. I look at some of these assets. I'm like, how is this going to grow into what I think it's going to grow to? But it's done so historically. It has never failed. That's exactly what we've seen. And even this chart that we're looking at right now, we're processing it linearly, but you have to understand, I have the logarithmic scale on. If this was a linear scale, it would look, we wouldn't be able to look at it. We wouldn't be able to understand it. So I have the logarithmic scale on, but your brain doesn't really, well, most people's brains, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but my brain, for instance, I'm looking at this, I just look at it as a linear chart. But I understand intellectually that the distance, let me try to do this. The distance between the price levels gets smaller and smaller progressively. I'm trying to depict a logarithmic graph. Basically, the only way you can fit this chart on this price action on one chart is by turning the log scale on, and the log scale essentially it crunches the price so that you can make sense of it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I understand what you're saying, Akanksha. I understand what you're saying, and that makes sense why. And I hope you understand why you think that way as well. It just makes sense. That's how you live your life. You live your life counting, sort of quantumly, like one, then the other, 1 foot in front of the other, 1 day in front of the other, 1 day behind the other, right? You add and you subtract, and maybe at most you multiply. But at no point in your life do you use 2 to the power of 8, to express a concept, right? Or like anything to the power of anything, right? You don't think exponentially, but that's how these assets move. So Michael Gittleman says, "Hi Dean, is it possible to write email to you? Great analysis as always. Thank you." Yeah, of course. Just use my email in the YouTube, on the page. There should be an email, contact email. Okay, so this is why I'm seeing, I know guys, it's taken so long. I mean, I catch myself saying this all the time. We're in March. Like, what the F? We're in March. Why is this not, like, March is almost over. Like, why are we not in 6 figures already? And it's, I catch myself when I say that. I catch myself saying, Dean, yes, it's annoying. Yes, you would have loved to take profit sooner. But what's the good thing about this? You had more time to accumulate. You had more time to just add to your positions and grow your positions. I have bags, like my total position size is much bigger than I ever thought it could be, only because this has taken so long. Like, if you told me 4 months, 5 months ago, you're going to have X amount of crypto at the bottom of the market, I would have been like, that's not possible. But because this has taken so long, I have. But you can only do that if you stay the course, if you're consistent, if you're like, okay, I know this is coming. I'm not exactly sure when, but I'm going to continue to act as if it's coming, and I'm going to continue to accumulate my positions. And thus far, and I'm talking about leverage. I'm not talking about spot. Meaning, if I'm wrong, the exchange takes my assets back, because there's just so much I can move my stops back, right? So obviously we've gone up consistently since January 1st, not as much as I wanted to, but enough that my positions are still viable. This is the only reason I'm able to accumulate and actually grow positions, because sometimes I get stopped out for profit, grow the position, get stopped out for profit, grow the position, take some profit, put it in margin, all that stuff. So anyway, that's Bitcoin. This is why my target for my next target is around between 37 and 43K. And let's see. That's really interesting. Look at that. I really like that 37,675 figure. Okay, that's the target, the technical target, or the yeah, that's the technical target to this inverse head and shoulders. But look at what that is confluent with. This right here. That's pretty convincing. That's pretty convincing right there. Okay, this was, I remember this. I have a visceral recollection of it because I read this. Remember, I keep saying on this channel that Bitcoin taught me that an impulsive or an impulse and a capitulative sort of, a capitulative impulse could be a zigzag. I did not know that before this. And actually most Elliotticians apparently didn't know that because everybody was trying to count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody counted that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this as a consolidation reversal. And then some people were counting this as 1, 2, and then they thought this was 3, 4, and then they were waiting for a fifth wave down here or something like that. In any case, very few people, I think Dan Dowd is the first person I heard say that this is likely a double zigzag. And so you should look at this as being 1, 2, 3, and then this is being an intravenous wave or intermediate wave, and then this is a 1, 2, 3. So a double zigzag. Dan Dowd Trading. This is the first person I heard say that. And then when he said that, I researched it, I looked into it, I was like, it fits. But for months and months and months, I did not know how to read this. Now, I remember accumulating my first positions, right? This is the first time I was like, okay, now I'm bullish. Okay, I was bearish, and then this is where I started being bullish, around 37, okay? And I was like, this is going to hold. I'm trying to count 2 degrees of AB basing in a pivot, because for me, the C wave is always just 5 waves, right? Boom, done. I didn't know anything different. And actually, a lot of textbooks, I don't know any textbook that says that C wave can be a zigzag. It doesn't have to be 5 waves. So yeah, I learned the hard way, but it was a great lesson and I never forgot it. And I've seen it throughout the market. But why do I say that? I wasn't the only one accumulating Bitcoin around 37K, 36K, whatever. I wasn't the only one. A lot of people thought this was the end of the bear market, this was an accumulation, and this was going to continue. A lot of people thought that. When we come back to this area, this support line is going to be resistance. I really like this target right there for that reason. Okay. I'm actually going to put that, so I have, most of you guys know I'm in it for the long haul, but, this is what I do, 1 second. This is what I do, for a living, so, if I need to pay bills, I need to take profit on some of my positions. I have a position, that I use that for, and I'm going to set that number as a take profit for my bill paying purposes. Okay? I really like that. And for those reasons. It's just I remember that. There's no way, very unlikely. There's never no way, but it's very unlikely that Bitcoin get to this area around 36, 37 and just blast through. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. Okay. I guess it's in the 40K region, right? It's in the 40K region. Okay, and the other thing, the last thing I'm going to say about Bitcoin is this. This order block, although it's not like the most menacing resistance, the top of it, I would not be surprised if when we come to this area of 37,675, we turn the top of this order block into support with a wave 4 correction. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. Okay. So that is all I've got for Bitcoin. All right. So let's look at the DXY. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance, and then let's look at small coins. So the DXY. We had the kind of idea that this was going to be some sort of consolidation region, zone. Why? Because this looked like a 3-wave move, initial break of structure, and, you have your counter correction, right? So I do expect us to come down to the bottom, if not wick down below this range right here. Okay, because remember, the initial break of structure sets the parameters, the height of the channel, right? Typically, it sets the support and the resistance, and then this B wave typically dips below a little bit, okay? And then after that, you get an impulse or a continuation, a secondary break, secondary counter correction, so on and so forth, okay? But I think that's highly likely. And another reason is that, as I said yesterday, you still have a gap here, okay? And the DXY, unlike the CME gaps, always fill. I've never seen a DXY gap not fill. So this will be filled. The DXY will come back to here. And I think after we hit 37, 38, 40K, whatever, you get that move up. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing in the DXY. Nothing's really changed. Let's go ahead and just put a channel here, just to keep an eye on that. So let's use this right here. Let's try to make it straight. Here we go. So I think this is very likely some level of consolidation. Now, is it a consolidation reversal? No. I think it's a consolidation for distribution, or a redistribution level, okay? i.e. some sort of wave 4 type thing, right? I do believe that you're going to continue this downtrend right here, okay? It's nowhere near finished. You're not at any major support level. There's no major support level here if you zoom out, okay? You're kind of in no man's land. So even if you go up and down, you're going to have to keep coming. Okay, so, our equities, a bull market is still alive and well. Okay, so that's the DXY. Now I want to look at Bitcoin dominance really quickly. Bitcoin dominance, as you all know, is a measure of Bitcoin's complete, the proportional percentage that Bitcoin comprises of the total cryptocurrency market cap. And as we've been saying, we're at resistance, and this is holding. And what we can see on the daily time frame is we have a big doji candle. And what does that mean for those of you who don't know is when you have a big wick to the upside, that shows weakness. That shows strong selling pressure. The opposite is true when you have a big wick to the downside, okay? That's just candlestick 101. So these big wicks to the downside typically mean you're coming down, okay? And that's exactly what we're seeing here on the daily time frame. Okay, if you look, we've been hovering at this level of resistance for quite some time, but now all of a sudden we've put in, just today, a strong doji, right? Which should continue at least to the bottom of this channel, if not break the channel. So that's what we're looking at in Bitcoin dominance. And that, what does that mean? Practically speaking, that means that altcoins are about to run, if not already running, and outperforming Bitcoin. Okay, so that's what you're seeing here. And this is also why we're, just accumulating and building our positions and increasing. I just actually increased a few positions, right? Why am I late to the stream today? It's because I got stopped out for profit in 2 of my positions, and I turned around and built bigger positions, even bigger, right? When I get stopped out, it's a good opportunity. I have more capital. Why not reinvest it, make a larger position than I did in the first place? But as is the case with building any position, it takes a lot of attention, and you have to practice good risk management and all that stuff. So it takes time. You can't just like press the buy button and walk away. You have to calculate. You have to monitor. All that stuff. So that's what happens. And that's what happened rather. And that's what I'm seeing with Bitcoin dominance. It's a really good sign for what we're expecting. Okay. Now let's segue into the altcoins. All right. Let's look on the 4-hourly time frame. Okay. So, it's been a little red today, but obviously we understand the context of this pullback. It's nothing major, and it's very healthy, right? You get a pullback after you break major resistance. Here in Cardano, you can see you went up like crazy, and you came back down to retest important resistance that you had broken as support. Very healthy. As I always say, if you want to define an impulse, okay, you could say it's 5 waves up, 3 waves down, 5 waves up, 3 waves down. But what is 5 waves up, 3 waves down? If not just breaking resistance, retesting it as support. Breaking resistance, retesting it as support. The wave 2 retests. I know my proportions are off. Let's try that again. Okay, that's a little better. Not much, but a little better. Okay. Wave 2 and wave 4 of an Elliott wave are simply just retesting broken resistance as support. Okay, on the way up and then on the way down, retesting broken support as resistance. So here, 5 waves up, 3 waves down. Wave 2 basically retests that broken resistance as support. Wave 4 retests the broken resistance as support. That's essentially what you do in a tried and true uptrend. This is what you're seeing here. This is the context. Okay, I think for Cardano, you have pure impulse. One reason you know that is already because look at how far you came up and how far you came down. You did not come down to even at least half of this, right? You didn't touch the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, and that's a minimum retracement of a zigzag. So you know that this has to be pure impulse if the retracement is only to maybe the 382, right? If it's more shallow than the 0.5. So that's the Cardano. It looks good. Okay, Algorand, same thing. You went up really strongly. You came down a little bit, but not much, right? You didn't come down all the way. You didn't even come down halfway, okay? They're healthy retracements. Again, you're breaking resistance, retesting it as support for continuation. That is really healthy. This is what you want to see. Okay. Arweave. This is an example of coming back down to between the 0.5 and the 618, but we can assume that this is likely a purely impulsive move up and move down. Or sorry, purely impulsive move up, because the time it took to go up is approximately the same time it took to come down. You can measure it, but you can already eyeball it, right? Like, the time for the 5 waves up is about the same time for the 5 waves down. And also, you're encouraged, if you're a bull in Arweave, you're encouraged by the fact that you broke this resistance, you came back down, retested it as support. This is what you want to see. If you just go and do not do any retest, that's not bullish. That's a fake out. That is a swing failure pattern waiting to happen. I hate that term fake out. It's overused, but you know what I mean. It's basically a bear market rally. Okay, basic attention token. This is the clearest resistance in the history of existence. You hit it and you're retracing by consolidating at resistance. Nothing bearish about that. It looks also like you went up 5 waves and you came down 3 waves in the same amount of time. So this is purely impulsive to me. Okay. Blur. Okay, so this one was one that I got stopped out in, and I got back in at a higher in a larger position. And this is tricky. This one was tricky and took me some time. Actually, it cost me some sleep because I wanted to see a move. And I didn't get a move. But why is it tricky? Because it's purely corrective. And actually, to understand this, you have to zoom out a bit. So Blur, if you understand that this is a new asset, this is never been in pure impulse. Okay, let's try and fix this. 1 second. What is going on here? Guys, if you're getting value, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so Blur has never been in pure impulse. This is purely corrective. And you can see that ever since it's come out, it went up, came down in this nice 3-wave move, and now all of this is most likely a consolidation, okay? You have a 3-wave move, and essentially all of this is your B wave. If you think of it just very simply, think of this as an A wave, think of this as a B wave, and you can think of a breakout as a C wave. Ignore the alarm. The alarm is for me to put my stops into profit, okay? That's how I trade. I take a trade, and once I get to a certain level, once you win the trade at a certain amount, to a certain extent, you can take profits without taking profits. So when you set your stops into profit, you can't lose the trade, even if it comes back on you, even if you're wrong. A lot of traders don't do that. It takes a little bit of discipline. It takes a little more work. But honestly, if I didn't do that, I would not be profitable, because if there just so happens to be another corrective wave that comes back to where I got in or below where I got in, I would just be underwater, right? But even if that happens, if this alarm hits, which is likely to hit soon, I set my stops into profit. Whatever happens, I win the trade. Hopefully it doesn't come back and stop me out, because it's work trying to get back into the trade. But you understand, this is a great trading strategy. It doesn't have to do with taking profits. You don't have to take profits. I can still maintain my position size, but still de-risk the trade entirely, 100%. Actually, more than 100%, because if I get stopped out, I win. Do you understand? So anyway. So I think in terms of this is a 3-wave move. This is a 3-wave move that's counter-corrective to this, and it's flat, meaning if you take your Fibonacci retracement level, you'll see that you're pretty much just dancing on the 786. You see that? So we know the 786 is a minimum retracement for a flat correction. So understand, this is very simple. 3 waves up and a version of 3 waves down. We say a version of 3 waves down because it's obviously a complex correction. Is this a triangle? Is this a double 3? Is this a triple 3? It doesn't matter. All that matters is that this is a flat correction, and you're looking for something that goes from the 786 to the 1618. Now, the saving grace here is the fact that it looks like you're basing and you're creating some buy pressure on the 786. So how do you trade this? For me, even though this is a tough trade, I'm basically setting my stops a little bit below the 786, because I understand that for many days, Blur has shown to find support at the 786 and is basically telling me I'm a flat correction and I'm in the B wave and I'm basing right now, and then once I'm ready, I'm going to break out. That's it. That's what the chart's telling me. And that's like what the higher time frame read that's what the higher time frame read allows you to see. So I think it's quite simple. It's a little tedious because it hasn't moved for many days. So let's see. yeah, I set my stops a little bit below here. A little bit below. And so actually what I'm going to do is, let me go. So yeah, this is, I mean, this is why you study this stuff. This is why you study, you know, all your corrective price action. Because if like so many people that are interested in Elliott Wave, you only restrict yourself to understanding 5 waves up and 3 waves down, you're not going to make it. Because once it gets into the 5 waves, you know, the trade is kind of gone, right? Except after wave 2. But then again, you have to understand wave 2. The only way to make money trade, well, one of the best ways to make money trading is to understand these corrective sequences, to understand corrective price action so that you may enjoy impulsive price action. Get familiar, get comfortable with the ugly sideways corrective, like capricious, unpredictable, messy sort of flat corrections, zigzags, triangles, all the corrective price action that nobody likes to talk about, nobody likes to, you know, discuss. That's what you should get comfortable with, in my estimation. This is what I think makes me better as a reader of the charts, better as a trader than most, because I love corrective price action. I don't, but I've come to love it because I understand how profitable it is and how much clarity it allows for me to gain, relatively speaking, in the markets, right? You know, just as clear as it can get, right? It's murky for me, but, you know, relative to other people, like, I can see a lot of things, even though I get confused all the time as well. I'm looking at this small time frame price action. I just want to get an idea. I'm gonna count some waves here. 1, 2, 3, or some candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like a zigzag to me, right? That looks like a zigzag to me. Doesn't look like a wave 1, wave 2. 1 hour, 15 minutes. 1 hour. Yeah, no, that's zigzag. And then this is probably going to be a flat correction down here somewhere. Maybe another zigzag or a flat. Okay, whatever. We're going to stay put. We're making higher highs and higher lows. That's all that is important. And eventually, when we hit that that alarm, then I act, and then I de-risk. Okay, so that's Blur. Binance Coin. Okay, same thing. I got stopped out into profit for this, and I got back in. Okay, and why did I get stopped out into profit? Because these assets, Binance and Blur, unlike a lot of other assets, they didn't put in much upside. Okay, they stayed in kind of their messy corrective patterns. So you can see here, you clearly have some sort of flat correction. I believe this is a flat correction. Let's see. Yeah. This is a flat correction right here. This is a 3-wave move up, 3-wave move down to the 786. So this is done. This has done this, right? It came back, it retraced in a flat correction, sort of quite aggressively, and so it stopped me out. But I got some profit. I got back in, but then my task was to read all of this stuff and to try to protect my position and make sure that I could, you know, stay viable for the eventual breakout. It's tough. So I went on to the smaller time frames, and kind of like Blur, I try to make sense of what I'm seeing here. And here, this is a little tricky. Okay, so this is the 3-wave move that you can see that I got hit with, but this is clearly a 3-wave move. This is a B wave. and this is a subsequent 5-wave move, I believe, and this is a subsequent 3-wave move. So I would say that this is big A, big B, small a, small b, and this is a pivot. Okay, that's how I'm reading it. 2 degrees of A basing and a pivot. Again, it's corrective price action. It's not sexy, it's not impulsive, but this is where you geek out, because this is where all the money's made. Given the high time frame context, understanding that it's very likely that we get a big time breakout, you want to get familiar with these consolidation periods and use them to accumulate for the big move up. That's how you make outsized gains, right? The asymmetry of profits happens in consolidation, both up and down. Okay, but most people obviously like to trade up rather than down because you can just buy and hold. So you can buy on spot, you can make money on spot. So I see this as another flat correction, right? My pivot. So this may be my first impulse, okay? This may be my first impulse. In any case, once we hit this alarm, I set my stops into profit. It is a free trade. It's not just a free trade. It's a profitable trade. It's a winning trade. It's a winning trade. So that's Binance. Okay, let's go back on the high time frame. So those two gave me a little bit of trouble, but it's fine. Okay, bonk. Bonk. This came back like a lot of them, and I think this is a zigzag. Quite simply, the time it took to go up is not the same time it took to come down, but I think from here, you have a move up, okay? So that's what I'm seeing. Okay, dent. I like this as a pure impulse of 5 waves and 3 waves. The time is congruent. Okay, 5 waves up, 3 waves down, retracement down to the 0.5 to 618. This is obviously an important level. It was very important support here. You broke it. Now you retest it as support. You broke it as resistance, retest it as support. It makes sense to me. This is a very bullish chart. You want to buy on support. This is literal support right here. Dent. Okay, Dodo. Yes, I like this as a 5 waves up, 3 waves down. Yeah, the time it took to come up is about the same time it took to come down. And you found resistance. Let's try again. You found resistance where you should have found resistance, right? This was support here. This was resistance here. This was an order block here. You find resistance. You put in 3 waves. Now you're looking to go back up. Okay, Dogecoin. This went up correctively and it came back down correctively, okay? This is clearly not pure impulse. Clearly not. The time is incongruent. But it looks like you put in a zigzag, okay? Looks like you put in a zigzag. You came up and you came down correctively, but you respected the 0618 and you're respecting the 0618. So that's what I see for Dogecoin. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a second and get some more water. I'm out of water, but I'll be right back. So I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. I don't know how to spell this. Let's try again. Getting water. There. Give me 1 second. All right, we're back. Okay, so Polkadot. I think this is another example of pure impulse. Okay, the time it took to come up is about the same time it took to go down. Okay, you have a version or flavor of three-wave ABC flat correction here, and I think it's finished. And also, look at this. This is a W pattern, right? Breakout, retest, breakout. I think this is what we're seeing on Polkadot. So this is support. Nobody wants to buy support. Everybody wants to be bearish on support. They want to be bullish at resistance because it goes and goes. They're like, oh man, I want to get in. I'm not saying everybody, but you know, the novice trader, the novice investor, the novice speculator, right? But pros and more sort of savvy traders recognize support. We buy on support with confidence and we let it go. DYDX, same thing. Here I want to say, yeah, 5 waves up, 3 waves down. Time it took to come up is about the same time it took to go down. To my eye, it looks comparable. Okay, so this is support. This is mathematical support and technical support here, as it's the top or the neckline of this W. Actually, the W pattern would be like this. You could call that a cup and handle or whatever you want to call it, but you're basically on support. Okay, looks really good. The markets look very bullish. They look very good for continuation. To the untrained eye, they may look bearish because we're probably still in the red today. Yeah, but for those of us who, you know, read these markets daily and, you know, we're kind of familiar, we recognize this to be the trend and this to be the counter. Okay, the counter correction. We don't confuse the counter correction or the retracement for the actual trend. Okay, ETH put in a nice impulse and 3-wave move, retracing, taking about the same time it did to go in impulse. Okay, and you could see, you know that this is pure impulse. Why? Because there's no way that you can come, or this is coming down to 0.5. Like this hasn't even reached the halfway mark of this trend, so you know that this is a little shallow, so it's got to be pure impulse. Very bullish. And you can see also these two hammer candles once you hit this level, right, showing that there's strong buying pressure. There's lots of liquidity that's been tapped, and there's no need to come down below these levels, right, below where we are, or actually below 1760. 1760 is a strong level for Ethereum. That's what the market is showing you. The charts are showing you. Okay, Chainlink. Yeah, you can say that this is also pure impulse. 5 waves up, 3 waves down. The time it took to go up is the same time it took to go down. Once again, you are, let's see. Well, you're tapping into this level right here. I'm going to try that one more time. Let's see. Okay, there we go. That's a good one. You're tapping into this level, okay? But that being said, you're putting in 5 waves up, 3 waves down, and ultimately you're making some sort of inverse head and shoulders, which we know is a bullish reversal pattern. But this is very bullish, very bullish. Okay, Litentry. Same thing. 5 waves up, 3 waves down. This is more likely than not pure impulse because you've come down to this level and you found support, and you're not even at the 0.5 level of resistance, or sorry, retracement. So you know that it's got to be pure impulse. Can't be a zigzag. Cannot be a zigzag. Okay. And the other thing is, the time it took to go up is the same time it took to go down, and you're on this support level of whatever was happening here, right? Broke the support, or broke the resistance, retested it as support. Looks really good. The whole market looks really bullish. Okay, Litecoin, very interesting, very interesting. Why? Let's measure this. Let's measure this. No, I already don't need to, because I know I can see that this retraced. Can I see that one too? Yeah, you only took 1, 2, 3 candles up, and you took way more to come down. There's no way that that's purely impulsive, and there's no way that there's a wave 1, wave 2 here, and this is a wave 4. This is nothing but corrective price action. Okay, this is a zigzag. This is a zigzag. This is a bull flag. Okay, do you see it? So you have 2 bull flags in succession. This is your first, and this is your second. Okay, but these 2 things are corrective. There's no pure impulse here. So when it does go into pure impulse, look out. Okay, but essentially for Litecoin, you have 5 waves up and 3 waves down, and that 3 waves down looked like W, X, Y, X, Z, so a triple 3. Okay, but in the end, simplifying things, this is your flag, your bull flag. This is your flagpole, and now you expect a resulting move. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and look at that. This is okay. This is the most bullish of the charts that we've looked at, to my knowledge. Okay, I may be wrong, but look at what you're doing in Litecoin. If people are bearish on Litecoin, they're about to be in for a huge surprise. You're breaking the resistance of resistances in Litecoin. Okay, so when you came, and I said this yesterday, when you came here and you rejected off of this level, understand that you rejected off of this level as a result of this price action. So basically everything that you had done for the past 3 years in the price action created a level of resistance here. Okay, and so when the price came up to these levels at around 98 to 100, you rejected. Okay, but you've already worked back up from that rejection, and what you've been doing is consolidating at resistance. Okay, so let's go back on the smaller time frames. So you've consolidated at resistance, and this is literally the final resistance. Once Litecoin gets above this line, you won't be able to stop it. It'll be one of those that you hear, oh, it went up. Okay, that's interesting. You'll go to bed. You'll get up. It went up again. That's interesting. Okay, when's it gonna cool down? It'll literally be in price discovery. Okay, not literally, but technically it's in price discovery once it breaks this line, because there's no major resistances beyond this point. Okay, very, very interesting. Actually, I want to see this, so I'm gonna put an alarm here. I want to observe this. I'm gonna call it Litecoin Party. Okay, just it's one of the most enjoyable things in trading is to observe breakouts in the direction of the trade, in the direction of your trade rather, right? If you're long, breakout to the upside. If you're short, breakout to the downside. There are very few things that are as there are very few things that are as fulfilling, or as, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, as fulfilling. Fulfilling. It's so fulfilling. Okay, MOVR. What do you see here? This is a massive, but ugly, but massive zigzag. Here are your 5 waves. Okay, you can look at this as being a flat correction. Okay, that's your first degree of baby basing. You can look at this as being, okay, I actually, here's what I like. Here's how I look at this. Here, I see 2 degrees of AB basing and a pivot. I'm going to show you. Okay, so this is beautiful in terms of the consistency, right? I always say the thing that Elliott wave theory has on Wyckoff in terms of reading consolidations, accumulations, and distributions is that Elliott wave allows for more flexibility. It allows for a more refined read on accumulation and on distribution on those consolidation levels. When you're reading Wyckoff, you read it in context of an orthogonal channel. That's accumulation channel. That's a distribution channel. But you know what? In the real world, you're seldom, not seldom, but you're not always in a nice orthogonal clean channel where you can read these things, okay? A lot of times, it's all, this is a mess. This is a mess. But this is a consolidation reversal channel. This is an accumulation channel, okay? This is it. How do you read it? Using Elliott wave theory, 2 degrees of AB basing and a pivot. This is your first degree. This is your big A. This is your big B. It's a flat correction, quite clearly. This is your second degree. It's a zigzag. This is what I would call small a, small b. This is your pivot. It's a massive flat correction. Okay? It's a 3-wave move up. I don't know what you would call the pivot. Alpha. Okay? And then beta. So this is my alpha, and this is my beta, which lasted seemingly forever. Okay? And actually, this one... This is drawn. I have to be honest. I'm in this trade, but it's in a serious drawdown. And I've been moving my stops and making sure that it's alive. But I've been adding margin, and I didn't want to. I added to my losers, and I know people say don't add to your losers, but in the higher context of things, my read is that we're on the precipice of a massive move up. So I understand that. Eventually, very soon, we're going to get a break. We're going to get that C wave. We're going to get that impulsive move. So I don't want to take a loss on this position, even though it's drawn down. And one of the reasons it's drawn down is because this beta wave or pivot wave, this B wave of this pivot, has lasted so fucking long. It's been 13 days, 14 days now, 2 weeks, 2 straight weeks of this garbage. Okay? So it's in a drawdown, but it's fine. And I'm not saying, do as I do. But I'm taking a risk and a higher risk because of my high time frame reads. I'm confident in the resulting sort of impulse. I understand the purpose of this wave function here, which is, just corrective. But you see, 2 degrees of AB basing and a pivot. You see it all the time. It's not always easy to read. It's not always cookie cut, like 1 degree, 2 degrees, pivot, and go. It's not always like that. Sometimes it's messy like what we're seeing here in MOVR. The more you read these things, the more different ways you can read them, the more different ways you're used to reading them, and your eye gets used to the different patterns, and your eye sees the flat corrections and the zigzags and stuff like that, the more dangerous you get. There's not going to be a chart where you're completely lost. Okay? Doesn't mean you're going to be 100% right all the time, but you're going to have a decent idea as to what's going on. That equals unlimited earning potential. If you have the discipline, the stomach, because it takes quite a bit of a stomach to trade 14 days in a drawdown. Obviously, this is one of many positions. This is not my whole portfolio, right? You have to understand, you have to still exercise good risk management. Even if I were to lose this and take a loss on this, I would hate, but it's just a small fraction of my entire portfolio, okay? But if you can read these things consistently, you will have a very hard time losing in the aggregate. You will be a successful trader because there's not going to be a chart. If you can chart it, you'll be able to understand more or less where the price is going with a high degree of probability. No jokes. I mean, look, I'm with you guys pretty much every day. Okay, I talk about the same shit every day. If I'm lying, then call me out. But when I say 2 degrees of A/B basing and a pivot, and I keep showing you over and over and over and over again, I keep showing you different iterations of 2 degrees of A/B basing and a pivot. It's kind of hard, increasingly hard to say that theory of consolidation reversal doesn't exist, or it's just made up, right? It's hard. How did I come up with it? Well, partially from studying Ralph Nelson Elliott's theory of A/B basing, as he called it, and secondly, doing my own research. I did a bunch of research, looking at the charts every day, reading it, trading it, and saying, oh, okay, every single time, from what I've seen, you need 2 degrees of A/B basing and a pivot. Remember, I don't know if you guys were subscribed to me like years ago. I thought it was 3 degrees of A/B. I called it 3 degrees of A/B basing, or I called it. I thought you could have either 2 degrees or 3 degrees. I thought it was kind of optional, right? I wasn't exactly sure. I was still in the early stages of researching it. Okay? Here, harmony, very nice. What do you see? Same thing, 2 degrees of A/B basing and a pivot. Here's your first A/B base. It's a flat correction, okay? Here's your second. It's a zigzag. And then here's your final zigzag right here, okay? So this is your 2 degrees of A/B basing and a pivot. That's it. And you're done, okay? It took a while, but if you're able to read it, it's so powerful, so powerful. It doesn't mean you have a crystal ball. It doesn't mean you know exactly what the different degrees are going to look at, like if it's going to be a flat correction or it's going to be a zigzag. But once you have it and you can read it as it's forming, you can do a lot with that. I'm telling you, even if people acknowledge this is true, it's still not easy. So I can tell anybody everything I know. It doesn't mean you're going to make 7 figures, 8 figures, or grow your account like I'm growing my account. It doesn't mean that. It still takes a shit ton of work and a shit ton of discipline. So there's no like, dude, you could sell this. No, I mean, I don't care. If you do the work to apply this knowledge and you're as passionate about it or as excited about it and as diligent about it, then you deserve it. But can you just make, a fortune with this information without doing the work? I don't think so. That's kind of the beautiful thing about it. So, there's no use trying to sell anything. I don't need to sell anything, first and foremost. Secondly, even if I tell this and tell everybody like what I've observed and how it's consistent and how you can read complex consolidations, the cause for every pump, the cause for every dump, still doesn't mean, even you guys know, doesn't mean your reads are going to be correct. You guys know, sometimes I misread it, right? So it still takes work at the end of the day. It still takes a lot of effort. But anyway, that's what I'm seeing on Harmony. I'm seeing this as your final pivot right here, breakout. Okay, RSR, same thing. First degree, second degree, which is a massive... Ooh, wait. Okay, for Harmony, let me check something. Or sorry, for RSR, reserve rights. Okay, this is just barely a zigzag. Here's what I'm seeing. I would say this is my first degree of A/B basing, right here. Okay, this is my second degree, this zigzag right here. And I think this is my pivot here. Okay, so I'd say this is my first degree. Here's my second degree, and here's my pivot. And this is pure impulse right here. And I know this is pure impulse because the retracement took about as long as the wave up, but it didn't come down even close to the 0.5. It probably just touched the 382, which is the minimum retracement, which tells me there's so much buying pressure. This is going to explode. Very nice. Very nice. Guys, this is what? How long are we in? Let me see. Hold up 1 second. We're an hour and 30 minutes, 90 minutes into the stream. And I can say this, and I don't like to talk about this, actually, for a lot of reasons, but we're going to be really rich. If you're still listening, if you're listening right now, we're going to be really rich. If you're listening right now, 90 minutes into the stream, and you're exposed to any of these altcoins, we're going to be really, 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 really fucking rich. Like, it's like really clear. Really clear. Look at this. And rich is a relative term, obviously. Health is wealth, and happiness and mental health and all that stuff, right? In terms of, like, I'm talking rich in terms of, like, crypto. We're going to have a lot of crypto. We're going to have a lot of whatever your currency you want to trade your crypto in for. Relatively speaking, right? I always thought, for me, I made it when I don't need anybody else to pay me to maintain my lifestyle, which is a simple lifestyle. I like simple things, you know, nothing too extravagant. I can make more my salary or a little more, then I made it. That's rich for me. You know what I mean? I can work on my own terms. I don't need to worry about anything like that. So that's huge, you know? I don't know what it means for you, but that's what it means for me. I think I'm going to have a lot more than that, but you know, I'm probably going to give a lot of it away in any case, because I don't really need all that money, to be honest with you. So here, I'm seeing another flat correction. I'm seeing... Okay. I see my 3 degrees right there. Or my 2 degrees in my pivot right there. I think this is pure impulse right here for sand. Okay. And this is interesting because here you're forming an inverse head and shoulders. Right? And this is an important level right here. This is an important level. Shib. So this is another one that it never really went too far. It went up correctively, came down correctively, right? And because it didn't go up too far, it came back down and hit my stop loss, stopped me out in profit, so I got into another position. But what's interesting about this is you can clearly see it came down right to the 786, which means that this is a flat correction. So, looking at this on a higher time frame, what do we see? I see a massive, kind of like what you see in Blur. I see a massive A wave, B wave, which is a triangle, A, B, C, D, E triangle. Okay? I see another A wave, another B wave, and then this is the pivot. Okay, so I hope everybody kind of sees that. This is my big A. This triangle is my big B. Okay, remember, in Elliott wave theory, there are 3 types of corrections. Only 3. All the corrections you can see, I think there's infinite number. It seems like infinite number of permutations and combinations of corrective patterns. But there are only 3 types that you have to master. There's a zigzag, 535. There's a flat correction, which is a 335. And there's a triangle, which is an ABCDE. Okay? Which is basically 33333. That's it. Zigzags, 535. Flat corrections, 335. And obviously the triangle, a 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so I think what you're seeing here in B wave is that 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, you see your ABCDE triangle. That's your B wave. Now, your second degree of AB basing is another flat correction, and this is your final pivot right here. That's come down to the 786. So I got stopped out into profit, took the profit, added it, and built a new position that was larger than the first. I like that because I really think Shiba is going to do very well. And I'm waiting for a breakout. So I hope that makes sense. Like, you don't have to know exactly how everything's going to work out, but you read it as it's happening. It's a lot of work. But if you trade like this, like dynamically, and you use good risk management, you can do really, 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 really well. Okay? Set stops behind where you think, you know, certain things would be invalidated. For instance, I looked at this and I'm like, oh, that's a flat correction. I know flat corrections retrace to the minimum 786. And if it's bullish, right? If the asset is bullish, typically it'll only retrace to the minimum of 786. So I took my Fibonacci retracement level, and what did I see? I see a 786 minimum retracement level. So what do? I hide my stops in my liquidation behind the 1, just to be safe, okay? Because a lot of times, you know, through research and through my experience, I see that bullish assets are different than bearish assets. Bearish assets will come all the way the fuck down to the 1618 sometimes, you know, if it's in a consolidation. But if the asset is bullish, especially if on a high time frame, you're going to get that minimum retracement to the 786. Maximally, you're going to come down to between the 786 and the 914. Okay, so that's why I hide my stops and my liquidations down here for this. Okay, so there's strategy behind everything. That's how I trade. That's how I look at these markets. That's how I've been doing really well. Although we haven't gotten the big move that we've been looking for, I've been building. And how have I been growing my account even though we haven't been moving up that much is because every time I get in and I get stopped out for profit, my account grows because I reinvest. Okay. Synthetics. What do you see here? Kind of like what Bitcoin's showing you, right? You look at this as being a 5-wave sequence. This is a 3-wave sequence. The time it took to come up is about the same time it took to come down. Okay? And what do I see here? I see a clean 5-wave move. Very clean. Look at that. That's as clean as it comes. Look at this. That is literally as clean and as textbook of a 5-wave impulse as you'll see. It literally took no time, and the price went all the way down here to up here. But what's I won't say wrong, but what's interesting about this is that although this is 5 waves, look at the retracement. The retracement is clearly violated the 618. Okay? And so, even though, because it's violated the 618, and it hasn't touched the 786, we know that it's either a 618 retrace, or it's a 786 retrace. You can't stop in the middle of the 618 and the 786. You can't be half pregnant. So, we probably have to pull this from here. Meaning that what we're reading as the first, let's see. Damn, but that's so perfect. I see 3 waves up, 3 waves down. No. I'm keeping that. Okay, no. This is like this. Okay? This is like this. Okay. This is clearly a 5-wave move. This is clearly a 3-wave move. I believe that the 3-wave move ends right here, and it did respect the 0618. However, and you do see this sometimes, there's so many different, and this is a good example of there being so many different permutations and combinations that price action can make, that it literally, it breaks the brain. It's hard to, like, oh, I didn't know that was possible, because you think linearly that if there's 5 waves up and there's 3 waves down, everything after this should stay above the 0618. And yes and no. So this wave function, these 3 waves pertain to these 5 waves, and they did respect the 0618, but every subsequent move is its own thing. So it can retrace, come down if it wants to, because it doesn't have anything to do with this, right? So these two followed the rules. They did what they were supposed to do. You should read this inverse head and shoulders right here, or potential inverse head and shoulders, as your consolidation reversal. And the other takeaway that I had taken away from this, because I've seen this in the past, is when you have a zigzag, you can retrace beyond the 0618 and still have it be a zigzag, because after the main retracement, or okay, let me speak very clearly. After the 3 waves retracing upon the 5 waves are complete, the subsequent consolidation reversal can take you into no man's land. This is no man's land. Again, why is it no man's land? It's because either you're a 0618 retrace and you're a zigzag, or you're a 786 retrace and you're a flat correction. You are not in between. You have to be one or the other. Okay? But what can take you in between? It's having a zigzag followed by some consolidation reversal that just slumps. Okay? And then the other takeaway from this is this. If you look at the whole chart of synthetics, and you think, as I said, a few moments ago, that this looked like a 5-wave move up. Let's try that again. And a 3-wave move down that took about the same amount of time. You have to question that. You have to re-examine that, because here it's very clear that you have a zigzag. Okay? So why would you get a zigzag in the middle of a pure impulse? You probably wouldn't. So what I would do here is I would take a measurement, a proper measurement, see 39 days up and 31 days down. Do you see? So eyeballing it, to me, it looked comparable. It looked like the time it took to go up is the same time to take to go down. But if you, upon careful examination, it isn't. So this is corrective. So you could call this big A, big B. This is corrective. You can call this small a, small b. And now your pivot is in here. That's the analysis for synthetics. And so let's look at the pivot, or the purported pivot, which is highly likely to be, but it's purported, right? We don't know for sure. So I would say that your pivot would start here. Okay, and that this is it. That's your A wave. It's a flat correction, a 3-wave move. And this is your B wave. It is a 3-wave move. Okay, that's how I'm reading synthetics. And at the end of the day, your final move is going to be an inverse head and shoulders, which is a bullish reversal pattern. That's how you form these bullish reversal patterns. So that's how I'm reading synthetics. Guys, if you're getting value, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, Telcoin. You've just been playing on this support for the longest time. Okay, you broke out. I would say this is some sort of... I think this is a completed wave, impulse wave. Why? Because you don't come back all the way without having completed the impulse. Unless you're in an ending diagonal. But I think here you're looking at a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5, and then you come back down for A wave. This is B wave. I think you're looking for another move down here. Okay? To complete your wave 2. Okay? So that's likely to happen. So it's 1 day, 10 hours. I think that's likely to happen by Friday evening. Okay? Because the time it takes to go up is going to be comparable to the time it takes to come down. Okay? So that's what we're looking at Telcoin. But it already went up a considerable amount, right? And it's essentially just making its initial retracement. And that retracement is likely going to be a retesting of this level right here, which is a resistance that you broke to the upside, right? So that's Telcoin. Tron. This one's a little tricky, but what do we have here? This one's a little tricky, but here's what I got. This is the best I've got. Okay, so your initial break is right here. I think it's clear. That's your big A. That's your big B. Now, I'm going to need some more room. That's my big A. That's my big B. This is my small A. This is my small B. Okay. Let's try to annotate that a little nicely. A little more nicely. Okay, so I'm looking at this as my pivot right here. Okay. So let's zoom into that right there. So can this be our pivot? That's the question. Can this be our pivot? Okay, we have an impulse and a 3-wave move. Can we say that this retraced to a minimum of the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level? Okay, it's possible. Let's go on the smaller time frames. We just have to make sure that we're taking this. Okay, there's a possibility. Let's see. There is a possibility that on the smaller time frames, let's see. Let's go on even smaller time frames because this is important. Because this would inform. Okay. Look, I would say that you want to pull the 5 waves up from here. In that case, yes, this may be a zigzag. Reason being, on the small time frames, I think it's clear that your impulse doesn't start down here, it starts over here. Okay? Those are the subtle but very important details that you need to be able to measure some of these moves. So if this is 5 waves up, this is a version of 3 waves down that does satisfy your minimum retracement level for a zigzag right there. Okay, so I would say, let's go back on the higher time frames. I would say as a result that I'm reading this in the following way. So this is my pivot, remember, because we already read a probable 2 degrees of AB basing. So this would be my pivot. I'd read this as 5 waves up, 3 waves down. And as a result, then, I'm reading this as pure impulse. Okay, so let's see if that fits, if that's even possible, okay? So if I'm reading this as pure impulse, this is 5 waves up, this is 3 waves down, and I do have some comparability, right? I do have, it looks like it's taken about the same amount of time up and the same amount of time down. Then that's my wave 3, okay? But it looks to me like wave 3 is about the same size as wave 1, so we may be dealing with the leading diagonal here, okay? As you can see, wave 3 comes to the 1 Fibonacci extension, so I'm seeing this as wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. This is wave 4. I'm looking for an extended wave 5, okay? I do think we're in pure impulse here, but in a leading diagonal. Okay, a leading diagonal is where you have a truncated wave 3. You know that if you study LA wave theory, you know the minimum retracement, or sorry, the minimum extension for wave 3 is the 1 Fibonacci extension. Typically, wave 3 comes between the 1,618 and the 2, but in the case of a leading diagonal, you get extensions of the wave 3 to the 1 Fibonacci extension, but what you get is a truncated wave 3 but an extended wave 5, and that wave 5 typically extends in the following way. If you take wave 1 through 4, retrace the orthodox low of wave 4, and target the 1,618, you should get the target for wave 5, the minimum target for wave 5. And so for Tron, that would be around here, which would make sense, because if you look, let's go on the 4-hourly time frame, that level right here, that level here around 6.9 cents is a level of resistance, okay? So a little 6.9 cents to about 7 cents, I would say, you can expect Tron to find some resistance. And that would make sense to me. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tron up and put in a 10% move, 12% move before starting to correct. All right, because obviously if you put in 5 waves, then you're going to have to correct on that. But let's see. Let's get rid of this, get more real estate. Okay, let's see. Let's go on the higher time frames. Don't be surprised if you go much higher, because again, that 1,618 is the minimum. But I'm just looking at the chart here, and the next major or significant resistance is up here, not down there. It's up here. It's all the way around 9 cents, 9.5 cents. So it's about 40, 50% away. That's what I'm looking at. So that's Tron. Let's look and see. Okay, it looks like our positions are up considerably since we started the stream, so things are moving. My Bitcoin mortgage position, I call it my mortgage position because I'm going to take profit, and I purposefully put it in a different, I'm trading it in USD and not USDT, so that I'm sure to take profit, especially because this exchange that I'm using, Femex, is going to they're going to liquidate all USD denominated positions in the near future, so it forces me to take profit. And I need to because I need to pay bills, right? Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. A lot of things are up from where we started. Very nice. Love to see it. Very, very nice. Damn, we worked so hard. We worked so hard for these positions. Goodness. All right, let's keep going. VET. Okay, what do you see? Very similar to a lot of other assets. This is your big A, big B. This is your small A, small B. Let's see. Let me see something. I gotta measure this because I can't eyeball it. 1 day, 8 hours. Okay, yeah, this is a zigzag. Okay, so that's my first degree of A/B basing. That's my second, or that's my first counter. All of this is my zigzag. So my big, small A, small B. That's my second degree, and this is my pivot, and that's my breakout. Very similar to a lot of other assets that we saw in the same way, right? Putting in this kind of up and to the right consolidation reversal channel. XRP. Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting because it's not what you've seen otherwise, right? A lot of other assets are a little different. What do you see with XRP? Very simply, you saw an inverse head and shoulders breakout. It broke, retested, and broke out, right? The inverse head and shoulders is a bullish reversal pattern, and it's confirmed upon breaking the neckline and retesting, breaking and retesting the neckline of the pattern. And this is the pure breakout. So everything from the midline of this channel, which we know is support when you're above it, resistance when you're below it, should be read as pure, unadulterated impulse. Okay, that's where we're going to start our analysis. Let's see. Let's just take this wave 1, wave 2, and see if it's 20 hours up. About a day down. Perhaps. Close. It's close. I think this is still pure right here. Right? 1, 2, probably 3, 4. I think you get 5 like this. Right? Let's just measure this really quickly. Okay, so what you see here is, if this indeed is pure unadulterated impulse, you have on your hands an extended wave 3. Okay, why is wave 3 extended? Because wave 3 typically comes between the 1618 and the 2 Fibonacci extension, and it's clearly gone beyond that. And you know you're in wave 3, highly likely that you're in wave 3, because wave 1, wave 2, this is wave 3 of 3. Okay, I'm counting in wave 3. This is wave 4 of wave 3. You're going to go wave 5 of wave 3, then put in wave 4 of this larger thing, and then go for a wave 5. So this is an extended impulse. Don't expect it to stop anytime soon. Okay, this is an extension, and you can expect extensions in bull runs. So as I'm counting it, just, kind of off the napkin, this is wave 4 of this wave 3 right here. Or, sorry, this wave 3. So expect another move up, then another consolidation, probably retesting the top of this channel as support, and then a continuation of wave 5, and then another consolidation, and then finally a move up. So XRP is going to continue to go up, and this is what we should expect in the bull market for assets that are bullish, that are, that have started to run, to continue to run. Zilliqa, this is the last of our assets on the watch list, right? Because it's alphabetical and Z is the last letter. We see almost exactly what we're seeing with these other assets, a lot of these other assets. Big A, big B, that's our first degree of AB basing right here. This is our second degree of AB basing. I would say okay, this is a little tricky. Let's see. Okay, I think you do this. I think this is the zigzag. So A, B. We're going to check if that comes down to the 0.5. And then this would be the final pivot, right? And this would be the pure impulse. And I want to say that this is pure impulse only because, one, you don't come down to the 0.5, or it doesn't seem like you're coming down to the 0.5. And two, the time it takes to go up is like the time it takes to come down. Okay, so let's just measure our secondary base, AB base, for viability of being a zigzag. Would it be here? Okay, let me clean this up because I can't see anything. Here, let's see. I probably want to take it from here and end it over here. You know what? This is the zigzag. This has to be the zigzag. All this right here. Okay, all this was a heinous zigzag in a zigzag. So you see this capitulative, impulsive, sort of final ABC, or WXY, you probably should call it more appropriately, because it's complex, because it's a correction within a correction. It's a zigzag within a larger zigzag. So I would say that this is your zigzag, this is your A wave, this is your B wave, this is your initial A wave or initial B wave. So big A, big B, small a, small b. Now the trick is this the final pivot? Let's look at that. Let's look at that. Let's go on a smaller time frame. I wanted to say that was pure, but let's see. First, let's just measure the time. Okay, it starts from here, yeah? From here. 23 hours. One day, about 23, 24 hours, yeah? But does it end here? I think it ends here. So probably not in terms of time. Let's see it in terms of retracement. It's a little shy, isn't it? Or do you pull it from here? This is confusing. If you pull it from here, it works. So the assumption is this. The assumption is that everything that you're getting here is a consolidation reversal on a smaller time frame, and that 5-wave move doesn't start until here. And I can kind of believe that. In that case, that's your 5 waves up. This is your 3 waves down. You meet the minimum requirement of 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level. This is your pure impulse. Okay, so we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with that. So guys, that's it. That's it. We do this every day. Why? Not because YouTube pays us $1 million. I don't get a dime from YouTube. Why do I do this every day? It's because I've realized that the more, like doing this show, just the simple act of doing this show makes me better at what I do. It makes me really, like, it sharpens my skills because it forces me to discuss what I'm seeing on the charts, reevaluate it, and explain it. And so I have no I have no choice but to become that much better at understanding my analysis and then questioning my analysis and then refining it. All of that stuff helps. And so the better I get at my job, the more money I make, the better I get. This is how I'm paid. So if even, and you know, it's good for me. So it's a win-win. Hopefully it's a win for those of you who do listen, who do watch. Hopefully you get some value from it. And if you do, then it's a win-win. But I'm winning on my side. And, you know, I don't need YouTube to pay me. I don't need anybody else to donate or anything. I don't need a Patreon. But this is why I do what I do, if you all are wondering. Okay? So it's my pleasure to do it because, you know, I need all the help I can get. We all do in this game of trading. And I'm trading a lot of different positions. And what I'm doing is highly ambitious. So I need to be as sharp as possible to succeed. And so far, so good. So thank you for entertaining me with your attention, with your presence, however short or however long you listen. I appreciate it. So just wanted to say that. Guys, that's all I've got. Bitcoin is going, and so I believe that it will continue to go because I do believe, as I said in the beginning of the stream, that this is a zigzag, so we don't have to wait for this to take as long as this does. Or, sorry, for this to take as long as that did. Right? I think we could just start going from here fully impulsively. And again, my high probability target for this move is likely 37K. And I think we hit it before the weekend starts. Why? Because the weekend, as you all know, is not when you can expect any lasting price action, right? If you make a gain, you probably retrace on it. And when we're in impulse, you don't retrace on your impulse 100%, right? You retrace somewhat. So I do think that what we're going to do is put that in by Friday evening, and then on the weekend, we can start seeing some retracements, right? So that's what I'm saying. All right, guys, that's it for me. Hope this was helpful. Hope this was useful. Like, share, and subscribe as always. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care.